Okay, Gimel Gimel,
That's what I got.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. Let me get this over here. If one of them was forbidden to one brother.
So when you say in one of them, when we got to like rewind and say what's our case over here. So let's just see the case when you got the four brothers. Okay, back in Mishna Aleph, you got four brothers, two married to two sisters,
Right.
and the two brothers both die. The two mothers who are married.
Right.
So now they both die, and you've got, and your baseline case is where, because the two brothers, each of them has got a zika to one of to each of the sisters, because both of them have fallen for Yibum. So now these two sisters are also have the look of Achos Zakuka, so each one is the sister of the other, and it's almost like the sister of his wife, and therefore they're not allowed to marry them. They have to do chalitza to these women. And even if they both go ahead and marry them, they have to divorce them, which stands in distinction to the previous cases that we learned about, where they weren't supposed to marry them, but no, if they married them, we let them stay, because in those cases there was a safek. Right. In the previous cases where the surviving brothers one was supposed to do a chalitza and the other one was supposed to do a yibum, but if they both went ahead and did a yibum, then you can say, okay, it's a safek. We don't know who was which one of them was the brother married to, and therefore they can both remain married. He has a case where you've got a vadai. You know that these two women are both each other's sisters, and they're both achos zakuka. So, and therefore, if the brothers illegally went ahead and married them, then they're forced to divorce them.
Well.
Okay, so now back into Mishnah Gimel. In this case, what happens is one of these two sisters is aser to one of the surviving brothers as an erva, and the second one is okay. So you can carry on reading here.
One of the two sisters. Do we know which one it is, or we don't know yet?
Yeah. Of course, we must know, because there's a known relationship between her and one of the surviving brothers.
Okay. If one of them was forbidden to one brother by the erva prohibition, and the second one was forbidden to the other brother by the erva prohibition, the one forbidden to this brother is permitted to the other brother, while the one forbidden to that brother is permitted to this brother. This is what is meant by the statement: if her sister is her fellow Yevama, then she may either perform chalitza or be taken in yibum. So it's almost like switching.
Right. So in this particular case, because once there's an isur erva, there's no connection at all between her and the surviving brother, because there's no possibility of the marriage, and therefore her sister is 100% permitted to him. Whereas if there was a potential marriage between them, then she's achos zakuka, so she's the sister of the one who needs him, and therefore he's asked to both of them. Okay, but once there's a clear isur Torah, there's a clear isur erva, not just an isur Torah, an isur erva between the surviving brother and one of these sisters, then the other one becomes permitted to him.
If there were three brothers and two of them were married to two sisters, or to a woman and her daughter, or a daughter's daughter, or her son's daughter, they require chalitza but may not be taken in yibum. Reb Shimon says, however, releases them. If one of them was forbidden to him by the erva prohibition, he is forbidden to her but permitted to her sister. If it was a prohibition by commandment or because of a sanctity, she requires chalitza but may not be taken in yibum.
You see the difference? There's the erva, there's the isur erva, which means that there is no kiddushin between them. Even if he married her, it would not be tofes. But when it comes to isur mitzvah, which is shnios, like a grandmother or a granddaughter, okay, that's called that's called an isur mitzvah, or an isur kedusha, which is like a kohen to a divorcee, okay, or a Yisrael to a mamzeres. All of those are called isur kedusha. In those cases, if he did a kiddushin, it would hold. But so therefore they have to do chalitza, no yibum allowed.
If there were three brothers and two of them were married to two sisters, while one was unmarried, if the husband of one of the sisters died and the unmarried one performed mamar with her, and then his second brother died, Beis Shammai says his wife remains with him while the other is discharged as his wife's sister. But Beis Hillel says he must send away his wife with both a divorce and chalitza, and his brother's wife with chalitza. About this it was said, woe to him concerning his wife, and woe to him concerning his brother's wife.
Okay, so let's just make sure we've understood this case over here, because it's also an important test case. Because mamar, remember, mamar is a kiddushin d'rabbanan in this case. Normally, when a man goes to a woman and says hared mekudeshesli, that's it, d'oraisa, they're married.
Right.
Okay, but according to Beis Shammai, they say that even for Yibum, it works. It's a good marriage, and therefore, or at least I don't know if they hold that's the Araisa, but they hold that the Isser of Achos Zakukaso doesn't hold once he's already done Mamar on the one. So the unmarried brother did Mamar, and as far as Beis Shammai is concerned, then the second brother dies. His wife's sister doesn't even need a chalitza, so it must be on a Doraisa level. So it must be that Beis Shammai says that that the mamar that he does on the first widow has already acquired her as his wife Doraisa, and therefore when the second brother dies, his wife, who is his new wife's sister, goes free without a chalitza. Okay, and then he stays married to his wife. However, Beis Hillel say, sorry, this is very bad news for him, because he's not really married to her on a Doraisa level. It's a marriage d'Rabbanan, and therefore, now he's got another wife, brother's wife who's just fallen to him for Yibum. On a Doraisa level, it's exactly the same case as we had before, where you got two wives from two brothers who are sisters and have fallen for Yibum. He has to do chalitza to both of them. So therefore, he has to release them both with chalitza on the Doraisa level. But now on the D'Rabbanan level, he's also done a kiddushin with her. So on the D'Rabbanan level, in order to release her from that kiddushin, he also has to give her a get. So he needs the get to release her from the mamar and the chalitza to release her from the yibum. You see, that's why Beis Hillel say that once he has to release her, he needs to give her both a get and a chalitza.
Chalitza, right.
Okay. And that's if he loses out on both of them, he cannot marry either of them. Okay. So we carry on with these wonderful, complicated cases. But if you know the rules, they all make 100% sense. And if I can give you the case, and you'll be able to work it out yourself. Shlosha achim, you got your three brothers again. Okay. Shnai mehen nesuin shtei achayos. So you got Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and Reuben and Shimon are married to the two sisters, Rachel and Leah. Okay. Echad nasui nochris, and Levi is married to Hannah, who is unrelated to the other two. Okay, so Reuben dies. Okay, now what can Shimon do? Obviously, Shimon can't do anything because it's his wife's sister. So Shimon's out the picture. Okay, so but just remember that Rachel now is asur to Shimon because it's his wife's sister. Okay. So Levi does the good thing, and he marries Rachel by Yibum. Okay, and now poor Levi dies. Meis Harishona, so that's Rachel. Yotza mishum achos isha. So of course, Shimon still has the same isur erva to Rachel because it's his wife's sister. He's married to Leah, remember? Okay, so he can't marry Leah. He can't marry Rachel. So therefore she goes out free. Okay, Ushniya mishum tarasa, and Hannah, because she is Rachel's co-wife, therefore she goes out free, exactly as we learned in the first Mishna of the Masechta. That's exactly the case that we learned in our first Mishna of the Masechta, is where if Rachel goes out free without even a chalitza, so does Hannah. Okay.
Hannah's the stranger.
Hannah's the stranger, right? Asa b'mamar. Now what happens if Levi did not actually marry? He didn't do yibum on Rachel. Instead, he just did mamar. And he hadn't gotten around to marrying her yet, and then he drops dead. So now what's the situation? Levi has done a kiddushin d'Rabbanan on Rachel. Remember, this is all, by the way, just remember, this is all according to Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says that once you've done the mamar, that's a kiddushin deraisa. It's fine. It's the same case as we had before. But according to Beis Hillel, so Levi has done a kiddushin derabanan on Rachel, and now Levi dies. So what's going to be the situation with his two widows? So still, you've got the same situation, of course, with Rachel, who is still Shimon's sister-in-law through his, right? It's still his wife's sister. So obviously she has no connection. But remember now, Levi wasn't properly married to her, so he's still got a widow called Hannah who needs yibum or chalitza. So now Shimon, look, he can't. One thing that he can't do is he can't do yibum on her, because on a durabanan level he's got to. It looks like the tsaras ereva, and therefore he's not allowed to marry her because it's his wife's sister's tsara.
Right.
Okay, but on a doraisa level, she still needs a yibum or a chalitza because the marriage to Rachel wasn't yet consummated. So therefore, Shimon has to give Hannah chalitza. So that's nochris choletzes v'lomis Yevamos.
I just sent you, while I'm listening to you and putting this all together, I sent you a chart. Exactly what you're talking about on WhatsApp.
Oh, okay, nicely.
See, there's another.
So we even lucky enough to have Rachel and Leah and Reuven and Shimon and Levi in exactly the same configuration. Right. So the stranger there is Hannah. Yeah.
There's a second chart that's just case 2. You see that one?
The co-widows. Okay, so we'll get into case 2, right? So that's case 2 now.
Right. So case 1, it's easier when I see
we've just done case 1 at the moment. Okay, we'll get to.
It's easier when I see that. So the Reuven is married to Rachel, and Rachel has a sister Leah, and Leah is married to Shimon. Correct.
And Leah is married to Shimon. Correct.
And then Levi is married to the stranger.
Yeah.
Shimon dies, and he has to do Yibum.
Not Shimon.
Oh, Leah dies rather.
Levi dies.
I have here.
Sorry. You're talking about case 2. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get into
case 1. Case 1, it says Shimon dies, and Reuven may not perform Yibum with Leah, his wife's sister, and Levi performs Yibum with Leah.
Oh, I see. So we got Shimon dies. Okay, I had it, but Reuven dies. Fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So Shimon
that
dies.
Was one thing. So that was the one thing that I got slightly different from the article cases.
So Shimon dies, and Reuven may not perform Yibum with Leah.
Right, because it's his wife's sister.
His wife's sister. So Levi performs Yibum. Oh, but Levi performs Yibum with Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And the stranger is their co-wives. So if Levi dies, Leah and the stranger fall to Reuven.
Right.
The only remaining brother for Yibum consideration, Leah, is released because she is a sister of Rachel. And Reuven's wife, the stranger, is released because she's Leah's co-wife.
Okay.
Look at this again, because it makes it easier when you see the chart,
Right. Okay, that's great. Okay, so let's go into case 2 in Mishnah Vav.
Okay.
Once again, 3 brothers, same configuration as before. Okay. Now, Levi is the first one to die. So Hannah falls to Yibum either one of them. Okay. So let's say Reuven decides, as the oldest, he's going to do the Yibum. So he marries Hannah. And now Reuven dies. So once again, it's the same configuration. So Rachel is pater from Yibum because it's Shimon's wife's sister. And Hannah is free because she's the tsaras ereva. Okay. Now what happens if Reuven had done mamar to her? Exactly the same situation as before. If he did mamar and then died, nochris choletzes v'lomis Yevamos. So once again, Hannah needs chalitza and she may not have yibum because on the daraisa level she needs it, but on the darabanan level she's not allowed it. You see, that I think that if you take that sort of approach in general to looking at to looking at Yevamos, is that you've got to have two filters on your glasses. There's one filter that looks at things through Doraisa and one that looks through at things Durabanan. And invariably, you're going to have a situation where the Rabbanan is obviously more stringent than Doraisa. So Rabbanan are always going. So Rabbanan are always going. Whenever you've got a Rabbanan that on top of a Doraisa, you're going to say because of the Rabbanan something is not allowed, but but nonetheless on the Doraisa level something is still required. Because the Rabbanan can't remove a requirement of chalitza before she's allowed to remarry. So fine, you can't do yibum because of a Rabbanan level, but on a Doraisa level, she needs a chalitza. Okay. Comes Mishna Zayin Shlosha Achim. Once again, three brothers. Shnai mehim nesuin shtei achayos ve'echad nesuin okris. Same configuration once again. Okay, so one of the brothers who's married to a sister dies. So we'll say, hopefully we'll keep consistency with the article this time. We'll say that Shimon dies. Okay, so again, Levi marries Leah by Yibum. And now at this point, Rachel dies. Now, this is important that this particular erva is because of sisters, because the sisters you're only asser to your wife's sister while the wife is alive. But if the wife dies, then he's permitted to marry the sister. Okay, which is not so when it comes to brothers, right? If a brother has children and he dies, his wife remains asser to the surviving brothers.
Right.
Okay, but it's not so with wives, okay, with sisters. So now, after Levi has married Leah, Rachel now dies. So then Levi dies. So now who's surviving? Is Reuven and the
stranger.
Reuven and Hannah and Rachel. Okay, now Rachel. Reuven might look at Rachel and say, you know what, my wife is dead, Rachel is now permitted to me. But no, it's not so. Why? Because when Shimon died, so not Rachel, this is Leah we're talking about. Leah was married to Levi, right? Okay. So Reuven looks at Leah and says, okay, this is she's now permitted to me because my wife is dead. But the problem is that when Shimon died, Reuven was not allowed to marry Leah because Rachel was alive then. So once she was asser to him once in the context of Yibum, she's always asser to him as an erva. And even now that his wife has died and she's now become a Yevama again through Levi, Reuven is not allowed to marry her. Because she was once asser to him as the widow of Shimon, she is permanently prohibited to him, even as the widow of Levi, and therefore also Levi's she's an erva, and therefore Chana also goes out free. Did you follow this little 3-card Monty over here?
I'm trying. Oh my gosh. All right. They really have to know the whole lot of these people in order to keep up with everything.
Unfortunately, there's no time pressure. Huh? Just okay. So
the ones that you don't have the diagram, but in the other diagrams, when there's a dotted circle around the person, that means she died, or see, there's the regular circle, and then there's a circle that has a dot around it. For example, in case 2, Leah has a dotted circle, and the stranger Chana has a dotted circle.
Yeah, Chana has a. Well, sorry, which case are we talking about here?
In case 2, but the last diagram.
Right, the last diagram. Okay, so case 2, and we are in. Just make sure we're in the right Mishna.
It was Vav.
Yeah, so we're in Mishnah Zayin.
I know, but you don't have that one, so I didn't want to use that example. Just in the dotted circle, exactly what that means. That
the dotted circle is a woman who is going to be free from Yibum because she's a relationship because she's an erva to the surviving brother, and the stranger therefore also is pater from Yibum because she is the co-widow of.
Okay, I got it. Okay, all right.
Okay. Now, so now the second case in Mishnah Zayin. Shlosh achim, once again, three brothers, shnayim mehen nesuin shtei achayos v'echad nasoi nochris. Same configuration. Geresh echad mibalei achayos is ishtoi. So now, Ruvain has divorced Rachel. Umeis nasoi nochris, and now Levi now dies. Okay. Ukanasa Hamagari. So Ruvain now marries Levi's widow Hannah.
Okay. Shimon is married to Leah.
Okay. And Shimon is married to Leah, correct. Okay. Umeis. And now Ruvain dies. So Ruvain, who's been married to Hannah, he is so now he dies. So now you wouldn't say that, okay, so Rachel was once married to Ruvain and Hannah's now married to Ruvain, and now Ruvain's dead, so therefore Shimon doesn't have to do chalitza on Hannah, and he's not allowed to do Yibum. Not so, because he had divorced Rachel beforehand, there's no relationship anymore between them, and therefore if he dies, then Reuven is allowed to take Hannah as in Yibum even. There's no Isser. They're not. She was never a co-wife with his wife's sister. Okay. So once there's no relationship between them, even though there was a past relationship, Reuven was once married to Rachel, but they were never co-wives at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So Mishna Ches. Now what happens?
Wait, that's my cat. Okay, all right, don't stop. Okay, sorry. Okay, all right. Bekulan. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Right, you're in Ches. Gimel Ket?
Okay, we're in Gimel Ches, yeah. So in all of these cases where one of these women had a Kiddushin or a Gerushin Besafek, so we're not sure if they're married or not. Okay. So their co-wives must have a chalitza and may not have yibum, because there's a potential that they might be married, and if they are, and on the side that they actually are married, then they're aser to him because it's a tzaras ereva. But on the side that they're not married, then they require a chalitza at least in order to allow them to remarry.
This is the case where Shimon is divorced from Leah. So
let's say we have this case of the previous case where Reuven divorced Rachel before he married Hannah. Okay, so he divorced Rachel before he married Hannah. And now
wait, did you say Reuven divorced Rachel?
Reuven divorced Rachel before he married Hannah. Unless you've got a different picture in your commentary, maybe we should.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay, tell us what's your configuration there.
Okay. Go. Why isn't this working? Okay. There it comes.
Right. So what have you got?
Reuben is married to Rachel.
So Shimon divorces Leah. Okay, so we're talking about Shimon divorces Leah. So now, if Leah's divorce was in Safek, so that's our case over here. Is that if there's a Safek divorce between them, and now Shimon is married to Hannah, the stranger, then Reuven, then if Shimon subsequently dies, now Reuven, he can't do the Yibum with Hannah, because it's possible that she is actually still a tzara of Leah, because there's a Safek. But on the other hand, it's possible that she's not, and therefore she needs a chalitza. So that's what the Mishnah is saying, that anytime that you've got the Safek, they must they need chalitza, may not have Yibum.
Why would there be a suffix in the divorce?
So that's what the Mishnah now talks about. Ketzat Safek Kiddushin. So what is the case of a Safek Kiddushin? Zayach la Kiddushin. So he threw the money towards her in order for her to accept it. Okay, Safek Karav Lo, Safek Karav La. And it's not clear whether the money landed closer to him or to her. She wanted to accept it, but we're not sure now if it was there in time or not. And before they could clarify it, or she could rush to pick it up or whatever, a speeding car came around the corner and whacked him, and he's dead. So now he died before we could clarify whether or not this woman is his wife. Okay? So that's a case of Safek Kiddushin. So maybe he's married to her, maybe he's not. Safek Gerushin, what if it's a Safek? Okay, how does that work? Kasav bichtav yado ve'ein alav edim. So he wrote it in his own handwriting, but there are no witnesses on the get. Or yesh alav edim ve'ein bo zman. Or there are witnesses on, but the zman is not written in. Yesh bo zman ve'ein bo ela eid echad. Or the time is written, but there's only one aid. Zehu Safek Gerushin. So all of these cases are cases where it's Safek that she's divorced or not. And in all these cases, the tzara would require chalitza and not yibum.
Which movie is this from?
Okay.
Which movie is this from?
Which movie?
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Chagiga.
Okay. Wow.
Chagiga Gimel Daled.
The stringency of Truma is as follows. In Judea, the Amaret are believed concerning the tahara of wine and oil throughout the year. And during the wine pressing and olive pressing seasons, the Amaret are believed even concerning Truma. If the wine pressing and olive pressing seasons have passed, and then they brought him a barrel of wine of Truma, he should not accept it from them, but he may set it aside for the next wine pressing season. However, if he told him, within it I have separated a fourth of a log of as Kodesh, he's believed. Concerning the jugs of wine or jugs of oil that are still mingled, they are believed about them during the wine pressing and the olive pressing season, and even for 70 days prior to the wine pressing season. From Moda'in inward, they are believed concerning earthenware vessels. From Moda'in outward, they are not believed. How so? If the pot of selling the pots came inward of Moda'in, regarding that very pot of the very pots and the very purchases, he is believed. But if he left, he is not believed. Tax collectors who entered a house and likewise thieves who returned utensils they had stolen are believed to say, we did not touch them. In Yerushalayim, they are believed concerning Kodesh the entire year, and during the festival season, they are believed even concerning Truma. If unopened,
I can.
That was it? No.
Yeah.
Really?
That's 3.
Okay. I was enjoying myself. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Tanis Gimel.
Similarly, if no rain fell on a particular city as it is stated, I caused it to rain on one city, and on one city I caused no rains to fall. One field was rained upon, that city must fast and sound the shofar, and all surrounding areas fast, but do not sound the shofar. Rabbi Akiva says they sound the shofar, but do not fast. Is this similar to the case where they said they only would blow shofar in Yavna? Is that have anything? That,
They
then
would
we had that. Then we have that.
they would blow shofar in Yavne. No. This is talking about blowing shofar. It's not Rosh Hashanah blowing shofar. This is blowing shofar for a tzara.
Okay. Rabbi Akiva says they sound the shofar but do not fast. Similarly, a city in which there is a pestilence or a collapse of buildings that must fast, that city must fast and sound the shofar, and all surrounding areas fast but do not sound the shofar. Rabbi Akiva says they would sound the shofar but do not fast. What is considered pestilence? In a city that can bring forth 500 men on foot, and if 3 men died on 3 successive days, it's considered pestilence. Fewer than this is not considered pestilence. For these plagues, we must sound the shofar everywhere for wind blast and for yellowing of grain, or for numerous locusts and for finishing locusts, for a wild beast or for the sword. We sound the shofar on these occasions because each one is considered a traveling plague. I thought the thing with Yavna was something to do with not Rosh Hashanah. It's about the rain. I thought it was about the rain. I guess I was wrong.
No. Okay, one more Mishnah. Hey,
I missed it. Oh, sorry.
I thought you were enjoying yourself.
I was. I am. If one happened that the elders descended from Yerushalayim to their cities and decreed a fast because wind blast the size of an oven's mouth was seen on grain in Ashkelon, they further decreed a fast because wolves had devoured till children beyond the Yarden River. And Rabbi Yossi says the fast was decreed not because they had devoured the children, but merely because they were seen in the city during.
You already answered. You went one too far. So you were enjoying yourself. Okay, cool.
Okay. Want me to go back or?
No, you don't have to rewind. It's fine. Okay. Mazgul of Kosrishon Pesach Psachim Yud Beis.
They pour for him the first cup. Reb Shammai says he recites the benediction over the day, and then he recites the benediction over the wine. Pesilo says he recites the benediction over the wine, and then recites the benediction over the day. Then they bring before him. Then they bring it before him. He eats dipped lettuce before he reaches the course that is secondary to the matzah, and now they brought before him matzah, lettuce, and karosses, and the 2 cooked dishes. Although karosses is not a mitzvah. Reb Eliezer ben Barsadik says the dripping is a mitzvah, and in the temple they would bring before him the body of the Pesach offering. They pour him a second cup of wine, and here the son asks of his father, and the son has not enough understanding. His father instructs him to ask, why is this night different on all other nights? On all other nights we eat chametz and matzah, but on this night only matzah. And on nights we eat other greens, but on this night bitter herbs. On all nights we eat meat roasted, stewed, or cooked, but on this night only roasted. On all nights we might eat dipped vegetables once, but on this night twice. And according to the intelligence of the son, his father instructs him. He begins with the disgrace and concludes with the glory, and he expounds from the Aramean sought to disgrace my father until he ends the whole portion.
Okay.
And we are in Shvius.
Yes, we are in Shvius at last.
Aleph Hey. Three trees which belong to 3 people combined, and one may plow the entire Beit Tzah for their sake. And what space must be left between them? Rabbi Gamliel says for oxen to pass through with their implements. 10 saplings are spread out over a Beit Tzah. The entire Beit Tzah may be plowed for their sake until Rosh Hashanah. If they are planted in a row and are surrounded by a fence, it is permitted to plow only as much as they require. Saplings and Greek gourds combined in a Beit Tzah. And Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, if there are 10 gourds within a Beit Tzah, the entire Beit Tzah may be plowed until Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Elam. Base. Base olive. One who touches the yoke, the crossbar, the collar, or the beam, even while they are in use, is tahor. One who touches the handle, the barak, or the guide is tameh. One who touches the metal ring, the collars of or the moldboards is tameh. Rabbi Yehuda rules tahor regarding the coulters, since their purpose is only to increase the amount of dirt. And one who touches the handle of a bow saw at either end is tameh. One who touches the string, the band, the bridge, the dowels, a carpenter's press, or the bow-shaped handle of an auger is tahor. Rabbi Yehuda says also one who touches the frame of a great saw is tahor, and one who touches the bowstring or the bow or the bow, even if he has stretched it, is tahor. A mole trap is tahor, and Rabbi Yehuda says as long as it is set, it's considered connected. A table or the lufik that became it became reduced or overlaid with marble and space remains on them for placing cups, they are tameh. Rabbi Yehuda says only if they remain space for placing pieces of food. Okay.
Marcos, space.
Space.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. One page. If one throws a stone into a public domain and kills, he's exiled. If Eliezer ben Yaakov says, if after the stone left his hand, the other one put his head out and stretched the blow and received the blow, he is exempt. If he threw a stone into his own yard and killed, if the victim had a right to enter there, he is exiled. But if not, he is not exiled. In the Dvarim it says, and whoever comes with his fellow man into the forest, it must be like the forest, which is a place into which both the victim and the assailant have permission to enter. This excludes the courtyard of the householder, into which the victim and the assailant may not both enter. Shaul says it must be like chopping wood, which is an optional act. This includes the father who hits his son, and the teacher who chastises his pupil, and the agent of the court.
Excludes them, he says.
Excludes. Right. All right. Excludes. Okay. A father is exiled as a result of his son, and a son is exiled as a result of his father. All are exiled as a result of an Israelite, and Israelites are exiled as a result of them, which is the exception of a resident alien. A resident alien is exiled only as a result of the resident alien. A blind person is not exiled. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir, however, says he is exiled. An enemy is not exiled. Rabbi Yosef ben Yehuda says an enemy is executed because it's considered forewarned. Rabbi Shimon says some enemies are exiled and some enemies are not exiled. This is the rule. Anyone concerning whom it can be said that he killed intentionally is not exiled. But if it is clear that he killed him unintentionally, he is exiled. Where are they exiled? To the cities of refuge, to the three on the other side of the Jordan, and to the three on the land of Canaan. As it is said, 3 of the cities you shall place on the other side of the Jordan, and 3 cities you shall place in the land of Canaan. As long as the three in Israel were not yet chosen, the 3 on the other side of the Jordan do not afford refuge, as it is said, there shall be 6 cities of refuge, and until all 6 of them afford refuge, I'm sorry. So all 6 cities afford them refuge simultaneously.
Okay. Done.
By the way, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, right?